ball-sized hail reported within this tornado. And again, this was observed by a weather spotter, so it is a confirmed tornado, and flying debris is a threat. You want to seek shelter. What do you do in a tornado? If you live in the Midwest, you know the routine. You've already got a safe spot to go to. But when a tornado warning is issued, you have mere minutes to get where you need to be, especially if the storm is moving at 60 or 70 miles an hour, which we've seen from the storms tonight. On the radar, the picture that we're showing you here, the red and yellow and orange indicate heavy intensity in the storm, and the purple can also indicate other things like rotation, hail, other threats within the storm. You can see that most intense part of the storm is right now moving over the St. Louis area, really to the western suburbs, Lafayette Square, Botanical Gardens, Central West End, extends down to Dutchtown and Mount Pleasant. You've got to have an invasive way to get your alerts. See this little sound and this guy talking? It's an invasive way for us to know what's going on. And that's what you want to happen for you. You want an interruption to your routine to alert you to what's happening so that you can seek shelter and be safe. And there needs to be backup. So if you have a NOAA weather radio, that is a great source. You can have other things like a phone app. You can have different ways where you can have an invasive alert. We're coming up on the storm intensifying over St. Louis, and just want to get in here just a little bit so you can see some of the neighborhoods here. If you know St. Louis, these might be familiar to you. I believe this is the interchange that we've been looking at. It's over East St. Louis, right there, because we were looking at, no, I think let's see, we were looking at 64, 44, and 55. So this is the interchange right here that we were watching. Because we've got 55 here, we've got 44 here, we've got 64 here. There's where they combine, there's where they combine. Okay, let me just look here and see if we've got any other alerts. Tonight is for the Midwest. There's two lines of storms. One is approaching St. Louis, which we were seeing. Second one is a broken line. It's broken apart from this line, and then it extends as its own solid line south, and that one has been moving across parts of Arkansas. It is also pushing its way towards Kentucky. There's an area from Paducah, Kentucky, all the way down to Tupelo, Mississippi, that has now been identified as a tornado watch that has a particularly dangerous situation tagged to it. So you look at this big area. Chicago, you've got severe thunderstorm watch in place. There have been warnings come through. It's serious. Illinois has already had some tornado warnings. The areas and boxes in yellows, that is the watch area. So we'll watch these storms as they progress from St. Louis all the way to Indianapolis with a watch in place. You watch for the storm to happen. Then those smaller boxes, that's what you're looking at, the warnings and the intensity of the storms as they get severe thunderstorm warning criteria or a tornado warning criteria. That's where we see the other little boxes pop up. Ed, bring it down a little further south. Let's take it from Little Rock even further south, because you'll see, well, yeah, right around there. That's perfect. Doesn't look too impressive, right? Once you go forward from Little Rock, there's a little bit of rain there along the Mississippi River. What is interesting about that is when the rain starts to come down, that does not make the storm, I mean, just because those storms don't look very impressive right now, doesn't necessarily mean they'll disappear. In fact, it can change the dynamics of the atmosphere, and that is the area that's been identified as the particularly dangerous situation watch area. So that's what we'll be watching over the next little while as well. So you see the broken line. There's St. Louis. You get a little break, and then you've got another line that is outlined there. And so watch the storms. They're going to come Jefferson, Springfield, moving towards St. Louis. Then there's the secondary line that starts to set up. That's the line that's going to head towards Paducah, Nashville, and then extend south into Tupelo. And it's had plenty of warnings itself with the tornadoes as we've been watching. Let's take a look at whatever we have with the St. Louis camera again and see if there's anything else to pick up. Just going to look and see if there's any official reports coming out of the St. Louis area. The storms on the north side have been plenty. The severe thunderstorm watch area or warnings have not gotten as much attention, but let me just tell you, there's been a lot of hail reports that have come out of Wisconsin today, Iowa, Arkansas, Nebraska, all from the storms on the north side, everything from dime size to quarter size hail, and a lot of wind as well. Looking for the top wind speed that we had come out. 65-mile-an-hour wind that came out of Kansas. That was near Leavenworth. Okay. So three reports of tornadoes. They're all coming, looks like, from the same storm, which would have been the Franklin, Missouri tornado that came through. It took down trees, took down power lines, also created some power outages as that came through. All right. This is pretty intense over St. Louis. You want to get into any more cameras there?
New information.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is amazing. Looks like a plane is having to do some circularizing. It's going to have to circle behind the storm because it looks like since St. Louis is in this, some of these
new information.
Pilots they didn't get diverted in time, or not quite sure, but I can tell you this much. That guy cannot land, and so look at you can see the track of the air, that little blue squiggly behind him. That's where he's come from. So either it looks like he tried to make his way towards the airport, Ed, couldn't make it, and is being rerouted to do a circle or something. As this storm moves east, maybe he can come on the back side of it. That's a Southwest Airlines flight. Wow. See the storm coming for a little bit longer because it's a warned storm. You have proof that it is a twisting storm. It's on the ground, and so you can watch it for a little bit longer. That's one of the benefits, but it is bad news for folks that are in the follow the alerts for when you need to seek shelter. The other details that I can find on this is it is producing hail. The hail looks to be about 1 3/4 inch in size. Again, St. Louis right now, familiar sight. Missouri Department of Transportation giving the vantage point here of the arch, flashes of lightning, raindrops on the lens, and we've seen incredibly powerful winds come through here as well. The storm is just screaming into St. Louis at 60 miles an hour. That's how fast it's moving, 60 miles an hour right now. And you look at this storm, there's warnings on both the south side of St. Louis and the north side of St. Louis, so 2 warnings. So all the suburbs included in this. The western suburbs of St. Louis have seen the storm come through, and now it's going to make its way right over the city of St. Louis and into the eastern suburbs. Don't expect it to lose its intensity. That's not been the history of these storms. We have a saying in weather, the trend is your friend. For a meteorologist, the trend kind of gives you an indication of what's going to happen. For everybody receiving the storm, the trend is not your friend, because if this is what's happening, and we've seen very strong storms come through, we're going to expect that to be the same case as these storms move eastward. The other reason why there's not a lot of promise that these will weaken is because it's going into an air mass that's warm. We are seeing rain that's being created just in front of these storms, which is pushing the jet down to the surface. And the entire atmosphere for the Midwest today has been incredibly unstable and has allowed for these storms to fire up in a line, a supercell line of storms marching across. There's a break in the line. Wouldn't really call this a derecho because it is a broken line, but the storms are moving at 60 miles an hour. So I got to look, I guess, at the exact definition there. Storms are approaching from the west towards the Mississippi River, down through southern Illinois, southern Missouri, making their way into northern Arkansas. And all right, here we go. Let's see what this is. Oh yeah, we're looking at the different cameras. Here's another interstate camera. This is Interstate 44 at 64, crossing over 55. So this is the conjunction right here of that area where they said the tornado is coming. Let's leave this up for just a minute, Ed. I want you to keep that up. We're seeing the lightning flash here, but what's incredible about that is the worst of the storm is not to that point, to that interchange. So if we continue to watch that, it looks like the center point of the storm is in the neighborhood or subdivision or suburb of Sunset Hills, just to the west of St. Louis. And the storm's going to be making its way towards that junction, which, by the way, that interstate 44, 64 at 55, all of those interstates coming together there, that is inside of the tornado warning, and it also is inside the line of where the most intense part of the storm is going to come. I'm going to slow down the rates to 21 so we can see just a little bit more intense. Rain was falling over St. Louis. We get the movement of the Sunset Hills, yeah, that's moving a little bit northeast. That might make a clip to the northeast of St. Louis, but we'll watch for it. Here's a little bit of information on this particular storm. We've got a lot of tornado warnings, including one in Missouri that is a particularly dangerous situation with considerable threat damage. There's two others that are occurring in Carter, Missouri, and also down in Arkansas. But the one that is impacting the highest population right now is going to be this particular storm, which we're watching over St. Louis. And we get the latest on this storm, which is going to go for another 30 minutes over the St. Louis area, downtown included in this. The tornado warning is for southeastern Madison County, Monroe County, St. Clair County, Jefferson, South Central St. Louis County, and also the city of St. Louis. It goes until 10:15 Central Time. It's a confirmed tornado. Again, a confirmed tornado means that someone has seen the tornado and debris being picked up off the ground. So a weather spotter in Arnold reported that this was a confirmed tornado, and that's a trained spotter, someone who has, they know exactly what they're supposed to look for, they know who to report it to, and they are reporting flying debris with this. So any place in and around St. Louis, Belleville, Granite City, O'Fallon, Kirkwood, Clayton, Glen Carbon, Troy, Waterloo, Columbia, these are all places where you should have your tornado warning plan in place. Once you get a warning like that, you've had to watch, so you've had time to prepare today. But when you get a warning, you right then want to, wow, okay, let's look at this, guys. Okay, okay, I'm going to put up another. Take cover in the St. Louis area. That's the bottom line. You should have a plan in place because there's been a tornado watch today, and now you're in it, and you should have a plan in place. What are we seeing as far as velocity here? I want to switch over to a different product and see if I can.
New information. This severe, considerable destructive thunderstorm warning has been updated. New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
Looks like we have people taking shelter underneath the freeways here or there at the interchange.
That is great. Okay. What we have here at this interchange, 44, 64, and 55, this is where all the freeways come together in St. Louis. We're seeing cars stop underneath the freeway, seeking shelter. They probably are having a driving rain that makes it very difficult to see. Never get out of your car, though, if you're in that situation. If it is the only thing you can do to shelter yourself, you're at a little lower place here. They could have had an accident in front of them as well, Ed, because look at the red lights starting to come up. Yep. We could have an accident there, which is bringing the traffic up. But you're trapped in a situation underneath an underpass, and there's a myth that if you're in a situation of a tornado, you should get under the underpass for shelter. No, that's not going to make you safer. You want to get the lowest spot, you almost got to go to a ditch if you know that a tornado is coming overhead. This is a bad situation to be. You're in the middle of a tornado warning on the interstate, and now you've got the approaching storm. You are stuck in your car because there's an accident. I really think that this vantage point here, let's just stay on this camera for a few more minutes because the most intense part of the storm is just to the southwest of St. Louis. When you look at the color scale, and reds and oranges are not good. That's an intense part of the storm, but the purple is the most intense part of the storm. And so intense rainfall, potential for very, very strong winds, and also the potential for some hail in this area. And when we look at the interchange of all those coming together, I believe where we get 64, 44, and 55 is about right here. See how we see those? Let me circle them for you guys. Here's 55. here's 44, here's 64. When we get it closer into St. Louis, this is kind of the conjunction that I think we're looking at. So if we're looking at that area on the radar, we're starting to see some real intense parts of the storm come over. The exact, the other place it could be is on the east side, but that wouldn't make sense, so it's got to be over here. That's exactly where we're looking at. So Lafayette Square getting pounded right now, McKinley Heights getting pounded. These are suburbs and areas that are just to the southwest or just to the west of St. Louis, where we currently have a tornado warning that is in effect. The live camera here from the Missouri Department of Transportation shows the lightning, the intensity of the rain. See the storm coming for a little bit longer because it's a warned storm. You have proof that it is a twisting storm. It's on the ground, and so you can watch it for a little bit longer. That's one of the benefits, but it is bad news for folks that are in the east. Let's take it all the way till near Collins at 45 miles per hour, and we calculate what's going on there. Population that's impacted on that looks like it's about, I know you guys can't see it, I'll see if I can move it, if it'll let me. Oh, I got to turn this off, but I think it'll disappear when that happens. So I'll let you know. Population's 2,400. Carson, it's going to be, it's really overhead right now. Williamsburg has 17 minutes, and you've got Aura, 21 minutes. Again, population about 2,500 in that particular warning box and in that area. Oops, we don't want to go there. Here's a look at the line of storms west of Interstate 59, and we're seeing these storms come out of Mississippi, or come out of Mississippi, and they're going to make their way towards northwestern Georgia. Here's Jackson, Mississippi. Here's Meridian, Mississippi, and you've got Hattiesburg. The line of storms located here, it's got to push like this, which is kind of north-northeast. That's the direction of the storms, and you get an idea. Really, the entire state of Mississippi has been pounded, just pounded. Coming across the Mississippi River here, all of these numbers that you're seeing on the map, this entire area of numbers and reports, those primarily are hail reports and wind reports that have come out of this storm. Damaging hail, damaging winds, and in fact, some of the destruction of the winds has taken out power. You can see a power outage right here, a couple of different power outages, and it tells you the number of customers that are still without power. Because the storms repeated earlier, there's also some flood warnings that are up for portions of the Mississippi and the outlying waterways and outlying bodies here. You notice that this flood warning is right here on that portion of the Mississippi River. So when storms continue to repeat themselves and you've got a lot of runoff, too much rain, too short a time, you get flooding issues and flooding problems that come in. All right, we've got at least some driving here going on over Mississippi. And this is one of the HAZCAMs, Ackerman.
Yep, and this is Chaser Brett Adair, Amy.
Brett Adair does some good work with Live Storms Media. He's got a couple companies, and he is en route, it looks like, to whatever the latest storm is. And if his location is Ackerman, Mississippi, he is, as usual, in the heart of this and looking at the storms as he goes. He offers reports on Weather Nation, also runs his own company and does some great weather consulting work as well. So Brett Adair there on the scene of these storms. Dozens and dozens of storm chasers are right now following the storm, and they've been reporting on the dangers of it. The most experienced storm chasers out doing the work. This is not a storm that you would start on. This is not an outbreak that you would want to be a part of if you're just starting, because of the serious nature of the storms and also the difficult terrain that you got to be on there in parts of Mississippi. Capital there, Hattiesburg, we're just seeing these storms west of Interstate 59 sort of paralleling up, running northeast. So the storm Columbia from Columbia that's moving into Collins, getting the latest on that particular storm right now. Considerable damage threat with this particular tornado. Southeastern Smith County, northern Covington County, and northwestern Jones County. You are looking at a large, extremely dangerous tornado coming through, and it's a particularly dangerous situation. So we'll continue to watch these storms. You can see that there's a lot of time left for this much area, not just of Mississippi, but you move here. If you know St. Louis, these might be familiar to you. I believe this is the interchange that we've been looking at. It's over East St. Louis, right there, because we were looking at, no, I think let's see, we were looking at 64, 44, and 55. So this is the interchange right here that we were watching. Because we've got 55 here, we've got 44 here, we've got 64 here. There's where they combine, there's where they combine. Okay, let me just look here.
Rolling.
Meteorologist Amy Freeze here. We had a violent tornado outbreak yesterday, came through Arkansas and Missouri. At least 15 people are dead. What's happening right now is a continuation of the severe weather outbreak and more tornadoes. A violent wedge tornado for Tylertown has been confirmed on the ground. And you can see on the map here, more than a half dozen tornado warnings ongoing as we move into the afternoon and evening hours. So be aware, Mississippi, northwestern Georgia, and the panhandle of Florida. It's going to be a very, very stormy night. So you can get the latest on my social media. I'll see you there. Meteorologist Amy Freeze here. I want to give you an update on the severe weather that is moving through right now Mississippi. We have half a dozen tornado warnings, and the entire area is under a particularly dangerous situation watch. Several twisters have come through with considerable damage threat, and millions of Americans across the southeast are under alert because of what's been going on. We've been streaming this on different social media channels, so I'll put the links here so you can get them. But one thing has been confirmed is we have 15 dead from the storms yesterday in Arkansas and Missouri. So these have been deadly tornadoes. The outbreak continues for the southeast through this evening, and that's going to be portions of Mississippi, Georgia, and also the panhandle of Florida.